The Amazon rainforest is burning, glaciers are melting. Every month, the planet is breaking heat records, and the UN has given us 12 years to completely turn all of this around. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party has just voted down the idea of a climate debate. That's right. At a party conference Thursday in San Francisco, top DNC officials voted 17-8 against a resolution that had become a cause célèbre for activists and for more than a dozen presidential contenders who felt the traditional debate format failed to adequately address the looming threat of catastrophe. Now, there is going to be another vote on this on Saturday with the full committee, but seeing how they voted against it 17-8, and that was with protesters, climate protesters in the room, I don't know if it's going to make a difference. I'm not sure if this vote on Saturday is going to be any different than the vote that just took place here. But to be clear here, before I go any farther, this is separate from the climate forum. So there was a climate forum on CNN on September 4th, but the candidates will not have to go against each other on their climate platform. So the vote here is for an actual climate debate where the candidates would have to actually discuss and defend their various platforms on climate change. Now, you may think, why? With this issue being so important, why would they reject the idea of a climate debate? Well, the Joe Biden campaign has to be at least one major factor for why this was voted down. Symone Sanders, a senior advisor of presidential candidate Joe Biden, was among those who urged the DNC committee on Thursday to vote down a climate debate, saying it would, quote, be dangerous territory in the middle of a Democratic primary process. So, Symone Sanders, advisor to Joe Biden, obviously at the direction of Joe Biden, decided to, or at least the Joe Biden campaign, decided to push against the idea of a climate debate. Now, what do you think her reasoning is? Before I even show you her reasoning, you know it's BS. But what possibly could be the reason here? Let me show you. So there's actually video of this. Symone Sanders essentially is arguing, as I'm going to show you, that, well, because there aren't debates about other topics, then there shouldn't be a debate about climate change. Watch this video.
There were a number of forums hosted. Planned Parenthood hosted a forum where 20 candidates showed up. There was a forum specifically about Black women. A number of candidates showed up. There is a forum that Latino Victory Fund is hosting in the coming weeks and months, I believe, where a number of candidates are slated to show up with the slam of Puerto Rico. So we are fundamentally, this resolution right now would fundamentally change the game in terms of what has previously been communicated to not only campaigns, but networks, but other, as I like to call them, factions of the Democratic Party. And I fundamentally believe that climate change is an existential threat, just as much of a threat, if not more of a threat than Donald Trump. But I do think we have to think about the other folks that communicated they wanted a debate, that were told a debate is 2 or more people, and so you may not have a debate, but you can in fact have a forum. And we support forums, but I think this is dangerous territory in the middle of a Democratic primary process. And if we do, I absolutely support Christine's point about perhaps we should chop up our platform. Our debate should be theme focused. But frankly, that is a conversation we should have had last summer. That's not a feasible conversation to have this summer, as we are nearly 1/3 of the way through a Democratic primary process.
All right. So her argument here is that because these other groups don't get their own debate for their issues, well, then it's unfair to those groups if climate change has its own debate. Now, she didn't cite anybody. She didn't name any names. She didn't name any groups that are against the idea of a climate debate, that are for this all or nothing approach where you have to have a debate for every single issue or no debates at all. You know why she didn't source anybody? Why she didn't reference anybody in that claim? Because nobody's made that claim. So this from Naomi Klein. To be clear, the argument is false. Many groups that aren't exclusively focused on climate support the call for a climate debate, including the NAACP, United We Dream, Women's March, Fight for 15, and others. Maybe Biden doesn't want a climate debate and this divisiveness is cover. Exactly. That's exactly the reasoning. I mean, it's obvious that's the reasoning, but the fact that Symone Sanders thinks she can get away with her BS is just absurd. This is somebody, by the way, who Symone Sanders used to work for the Bernie Sanders campaign in 2016. You can see why she wasn't rehired. This appears to be somebody who doesn't actually care about the issues, just cares about a paycheck. Now, on top of that, Joe Biden himself has said that he wants a climate debate. So watch this video that was shot by Greenpeace.
Last time we talked to you, you said you were all in on climate. We're wondering if, while you're here today, you'd be interested in sending a message to the DNC urging them, because they still haven't said yes to a climate debate yet.
I think we should have a climate debate. It's the single most existential threat facing the country, not just you young people, but the people I'm about to go talk to.
Yeah. Joe Biden, total liar, as usual. I mean, if you follow my coverage on Joe Biden, really, do a search on my channel for Joe Biden's name. I have endless videos about Joe Biden's BS. You will understand, if you don't know already, how full of crap Joe Biden is. This is just another example of that. The reality is they're afraid, because every time Joe Biden opens his mouth, whether it's on a debate stage, whether it's in front of a crowd, whatever it is, he says something dumb and he loses support. And on top of that, Joe Biden's climate change plan, or lack thereof, is not as solid or not as strong as pretty much anybody else in the race. I mean, Bernie Sanders just unleashed his climate change plan, and it is bold. So if there was a debate about their different plans on climate change, Joe Biden would get wrecked. And Biden knows that, Symone Sanders knows that, and that's why they're fighting against the idea of a climate change debate. They don't actually care about people or solving these issues. All they care about is winning. And Joe Biden right now, because he has name recognition and because he was Obama's VP, he has a lot of support from people who aren't really paying attention yet to the primary. So when people begin to pay attention later into the fall, when a debate like this may happen, they may tune in and realize, oh, yeah, this guy, Joe Biden, he's not all there. And he doesn't have a platform that actually looks to create any real substantial change in people's lives. Now, before I go here, I want to share a few reactions to this news from Twitter. So Dude Guy Pal tweets out, says a lot that Symone Sanders and the Joe Biden campaign are stomping their foot down and opposing a climate debate. The earth is on fire, and these people are afraid their candidate can't even debate the issue with his fellow candidates. Joe Biden is a danger to human survival. This from Al Gore. The Democrats' decision to sabotage a climate debate is extremely disappointing. Voters all over the U.S. are demanding we focus on the biggest threat to our nation and humanity's future, and prioritize solving the climate crisis instead of continuing business as usual. And this from Walker Bregman. The Amazon is being burned to the ground. The oceans are warming faster than we thought, and the global scientific community is issuing dire warning after dire warning. But Symone Sanders evidently thinks a climate-specific debate would be too disruptive to the primary process. Yeah. All those tweets pretty much sum it up. It's clear that Symone Sanders and the rest of the Joe Biden campaign care more about their paychecks than they do about humanity. They know their candidate is horrible. And if he had to be on a stage defending his climate platform against everybody else, he would get absolutely destroyed. Otherwise, if they liked his plan and if they thought he was a good candidate, they would jump at the idea of him being out there and debating these issues. But they don't, because he is horrible.